Hey, hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. We're gonna really briefly go over a game I just finished. It's an interesting, had some interesting, the game itself was inaccurate, right? Just a little bit sloppy, frankly. But we learned something. You look at lots of fruit punch from move 5 through 13 here, and then yeah. But as knight bd2. I've been here before with knight c3 as the recommended move, and I just don't all that much agree with it. Then queen takes b2 as the punishment comes with uh, knight to d7, and then I have the king. The king can't protect, so I'm not sure. Maybe that's how that is. Let's take a look here, Jordan. And the queen just backs off instead of capturing the pawn. So let's take a look into what happens if the queen uh, captures the pawn on b2 in that line. Okay, so this is also playable for black. The knight to d5 is a mistake. I don't know. It just looks like white's at full stretch here, trying to keep from losing more material on the queen side. Are we going to bring our bishop back to protect? We've already moved our bishop out to g5 and bring him back to d2 to protect the knight at f3. There's got to be something better than that. Let's take a look. Let's try bishop d2, and that is best. And for some reason, white is deemed to be better here with equal material. I'll have to look. I'm going to look at this more on my own time. I don't want to waste airtime on it. So, like I said, this game was just sloppy. This was given as a brilliant move. It's a sacrifice, a pawn and a bishop for a rook. Look how much more active my queen is now. Looking at making moves against black's king. Gathering another pawn on a6. Now my opponent has only a one pawn advantage. Rook goes to b1. Very inaccurate play here. But loosening up defenses around black's king. For what reason, though? For this. Check. 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 And checkmate. I'm going for the, especially after d5. I mean, all the while, but especially after d5, white's going for the draw. I want to get out of this game alive. I want to get out of this game with a draw. You'll find though, and this is why I went through all of this game. Sometimes in being okay with fighting for the draw, your opponent will concede the win, and you'll actually win as a result. They start, if the draw is there or not. Sometimes neither player really knows for certain, but the player who's quote unquote better, like black is here with the extra rook, even though it's kind of low on pawns. But let's say that that there were, if black were pushing for the win, he or she might overextend, like as in this game. So let's end up with a checkmate here. All right, I'm gonna play live. Hold on just a second. Okay. Let's play. Now that was game in 5. Do I want to play game in 10? I kind of do. Let's play game in 10. opponent. I'm gonna talk about this game. No, if I should, it's not all that accurate. We're in book for a while. Opened it up with d5. Bishop e3 tempts the move. Knight takes e3. I didn't go for that because I thought that after f takes e3, that really just makes white stronger in the center with a potential pawn duo against my one pawn on e5. And opening up the f file for white's rook wasn't what I had in mind either, so I'm not sure that knight to e3 is all that practical. It honestly makes bishop to e3 a better move than otherwise. It's not a bad move, it's a good move. Sort of a nuanced inaccuracy, if you will. Castle king side. Going after the pinned piece too aggressively doesn't work for black because of what white shows here. Knight to d2, and now you capture the knight on f3 just to plant another knight on f3, and that doesn't win black any favors. So instead I said I'll try, instead I thought pawn to f5. It's quirky, it puts a lot of maybe too much pressure against my knight at d5. My opponent played queen to b3, and maybe black's in trouble there. So let's take a look what black might have played a little bit better than pawn to f5. For one, there's the idea of just playing king h8 first. Now things aren't so bad. Other than king h8, we have king h8, we have f5, and some kind of move that might try to emphasize going against the knight at f3. It doesn't jump out to me exactly which move, but there's also knight takes e3 in mind. Maybe knight takes e3 was a better move. I would just sort of, as black, stand where we are and weather the storm. And it's also not clear that that storm is overpowered or all too strong. So I think maybe knight takes e3 was strong here. I'll look and see what the computer considers. Computer considers king h8 to be the strongest move, and then you can play pawn to f5, and the knight is not pinned. So I'll make a note of that. There's a saying in chess that when the king moves, it begins the attack. It's a funny saying on one level because kings can't attack the opponent king, right? The king moves, it begins the attack. And sometimes the person has wound up an attack where only the king needs to be just a little bit safer, and then the attack can go crazy. So this is I would say this is one of those situations that instead of playing pawn to f5, I could have played king to h8 and had some sort of crazy attack. Alright. Pawn to f5. Queen b3 is very strong. Bring my bishop back to... I'm critical, not necessarily of this particular move, but of my handling of my light squared bishop overall. His bishop went to g4, then he was at h5, and now he's back to f7. That's 3 bishop moves in the first 11. 3 light squared bishop moves in the first 11. If that, I think I'm even wrong. I think we might be adding one more to that. So that's dark squared bishop. Okay, so different. 1, 2, and 3. That's a lot in the opening for one piece. Yeah, I could handle that better. Queen takes b7. Knight to b5. And I thought this, at the time, I thought this was perhaps a saving grace or a saving move, but it looks here like black has other options. Knight a5, like I played, but also queen e8 and queen d6 look, according to Stockfish 18, like good choices, good opportunities for black. But anyway, I played knight a5, and that's a fine move to to quash white's attack. I think both at the queen and the bishop will allow black to trade off the attacking piece for a defender that wasn't really all that. Well, he was kind of strong, actually. Controlling e5 is towards the center. Anyway, we needed to quash this attack. D takes c4. Yeah, f4. Really, the move might have been knight takes e3 again and just deal with the fact that I'm down a pawn. Knight takes d3, knight takes c4 by white. But here, knight takes e3 is the second best move. There's actually an opportunity first with rook to b8. I tried to trap the bishop when in fact I could grab a pawn by forcing white's queen to escape a trap that black had laid for her. Bishop c5. Bishop takes c5. Yeah, this wasn't all that this wasn't all that accurate, really. Pick up some momentum. Here's this good move for me. You know, I preach about this. Sometimes I don't always go for it, but after queen takes c4 and rook d4, there's no real way for me to offer a queen trade, but the idea is queen to b3 demonstrates I'm not into the queen trade anyway. I'm only down one pawn in material, but well, this pawn's gonna go. But I don't really want to trade queens when I'm down material, so I'll preserve my queen with queen to b3. I'm also attacking b2. It's not a bad move. It's a good move. Excellent move. My opponent has 2 extra pawns. And then here, the dropped rook on d1, and that probably was enough for the game. My opponent found some ways to be a little bit stubborn or attacking with his or her knight. His knight. And so I just played rook to c8 as just the most straightforward way of diffusing this attack. Pawn to c6 might be considered, but white will be in a bad way after. Maybe, yeah, white will be in a bad way after knight to c7 attacking my pawn. The pawn can't march out of the way of the attack because there's a white pawn covering a5. I can't rush to rescue on rook a8, because then I lose the rook on a8. So instead I played kind of a careful move. Rook to c8. Get a pawn, starting to pick up steam, and then another clear piece drop. My opponent resigned. All right. I think that's it for right now, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. And more gravity. Have a great night.